I heard a psychology. There was a podcast about emotions that I saw that said that there's this woman who's like the leading rock star of emotional psychology right now, but it's really weird because she's kind of counterintuitive. She realizes herself that her theories and findings actually fly in the face of any support for like the kind of the safe space triggery thing, in that feelings don't happen to you. They're not uncontrollable things. And I don't quite, I was kind of like half asleep while I was listening to the podcast, but I was like, it's kind of like we only, the weird thing is, and I don't know, I don't know who figures this shit out. What, how do you measure this, and who do you know is talking out of their ass when they, I guess that's why you have to look at like certification and stuff and credentials. But according to her, there's only really 4 actual honest emotional states for a human that you start with, and I think it's pleasant, unpleasant, aroused, and I can't remember Groupon. I don't know. I can't remember what the 4th one is even.
Swifty.
But it's not like angry, and it's not jealous, and it's not sad. I can't remember what it is, but it's like basically the way that there's only really 8 notes. There's only 4 feelings, but then we depending culturally, like if you're in ancient Sparta, then you have to have a certain attitude towards murder, death, manhood, womanhood, etc. If you go down the street to ancient Athens, they're working on the streets, and they have, but all of that stuff, all the stuff that we call outrage or jealousy or sadness or rage, like we're actually just, those are all social constructs that we're creating, that we're told, we're indoctrinated into them. So when you're a kid on the playground and someone steals your fire truck toy, you feel probably, I would guess, unpleasant about that. And then your parents tell you, or the kid that's taking your fire truck tells you, or somehow you get the signal, you're told, I know you're angry right now. What you're feeling is called anger, and it has to do with fire trucks being taken away from you. And so you learn that the same way you learn language. But there's very few uncontrollable emotions. Like you just kind of, you have a pretty mellow 4-part quartet of pretty almost indistinguishable kind of states of emotion that you then, I didn't really listen to it that much. But she herself was saying, like, I know this is awful because she's a liberal and a progressive person, but she's saying, this is honest data that I'm getting back. This is the way we really need to look at this, even though it actually suggests, like, well, yeah, it doesn't, it's kind of like the scientific way of saying, suck it up, buttercup, in certain contexts.
But does that allow for nuances in between this? Like you can be angry in different, okay.
No, I don't know.
Our next guest...
No, but at the top of the podcast episode, they say it because they're doing, and I should, if I'm drawing on them, I should cite them. I can't. Oh, it's called Invisibilia. That's the name of the podcast. At the top of the podcast, they say, by the way, we've discovered a 5th emotional state, so it's called ugut or something like that. And we'll get to that later. Like they found a tribe of people that can feel a 5th thing. I know it sounds absurd, but they have degrees
the Jackson
and stuff.
Family.
But
yeah, that 5th one is called Germaine.